This is the Triacus Megamorphix. It's a puzzle that I designed quite a while ago because I had a magnetic tiny 4x4 and I wanted to do something with it. So I just designed simple extension mods to glue onto this puzzle, but what I realized after doing that is that extension mods are actually very easy to design, so I designed like over 10 more of them. I made YouTube shorts on a few of them and then gave up because there were just too many. So basically that's where I've been this last month, that I haven't been uploading as much, just like making puzzles 24/7. So this is basically one big video that's going to cover all of those puzzles I've designed. Comment down below if you want to see a tutorial on how to make those extension mods, because I am thinking about it. Anyway, so the first one I made was the Triacus Megamorphix. After making that puzzle, I made a couple mods with GAN 330s. So here they are now. This is a 3x3 icosahedron shape mod. What's interesting about this is that all of these corners are actually identical to one another. They're just triangles, so they're like interchangeable without shape-shifting. And here is the 3x3 octahedron. Very fun. I already had one of these. It was designed by Jacob Cubing, but the thing is, I did an awful job of, printing and assembling that puzzle, so this one turns much better, again, just because I was not great at making puzzles at that time. The icosahedron is actually quite small. In fact, here it is next to a standard size 3x3. They're about the same height if you're holding this one by the edge, so it's actually shorter like this. Both of these puzzles can be found on Thingiverse if you would like to download the files and make one yourself, and in fact, most of the ones I'm showing here will actually be available on Thingiverse very soon. So those are the only 3x3 extension mods I've made so far. After that, I decided to try a Skewb shape mod, so I made this Skewb kite, which replaces the Lan one in my collection. Again, quite small. I don't think I realized making these that they would be so tiny, so, I have a tiny Skewb kite now. And I liked this puzzle so much, I actually made 2 of them. I'm just kidding, these are completely different puzzles. So the trick with this one is that this layer here is actually offset by 60 degrees, and now that it's unoffset, you can make more turns on it. So in its natural shape, it is actually a trapezo-rhombic dodecahedron, but I call this puzzle the offset kite. And this is actually an original design, so there's my logo. I am the first one to be making one of these. After that, I made a Skewb shaped like an icosahedron, so now I actually have a Skewb in the shape of every platonic solid in my collection. Another fun fact about this is that there are actually 3 separate color orbits. One for these 12 faces here, all the ones that look like this. And then there are these 2 faces which appear to be the mirror images of one another, so those also have their own color orbits. You could think of these 8 faces here as the faces of a 2x2 FTO, and just these are truncations of it for these other 12, so that's one way to think about it. The only thing that changes about the solve is that these pieces now have orientation as well. So I'll put that down with the other icosahedron. Then I decided to make a 2x2 rhombic dodecahedron, just to go with my 3x3 rhombic dodecahedron, which is just ever so slightly larger than it. But of course I couldn't stop there. I also bought a Kilominx, and I decided to make a rhombic triacontahedron Kilominx. Now the reason I made this puzzle, not just because I love this shape, but it's also because this is, in my opinion, the most natural shape to make a Kilominx in. Let me explain. So a Kilominx in the shape of a dodecahedron, of course, looks like this. Now this might seem like the most logical choice. After all, it is a 2x2 Megaminx, or a Megaminx with only corners. However, this cut depth actually cannot exist properly, at least not with planar cuts. So as you can see, that we've got these edge pieces and these center pieces showing here that sometimes they're colored and sometimes they're not for some reason. Most Kilominxes don't have them colored. The Chi stickerless one does, and I believe there's another one that does that. And the icosahedron Kilominx, which I don't have one, but I have a Dojic, and that does actually have these turns here, are icosahedron Kilominx turns. Now, this can exist as a planar cut depth, as you can see, but the problem is then there would be 1 sticker per face, and that bothers me on a deep level. So then the only other shape left that actually can have it with more than 1 sticker per face as a planar cut depth is the rhombic triacontahedron. Sorry if that was confusing. It actually turns really nicely, and I'm very happy with this. And it also matches my 3x3 one, of course. So the rhombic triacontahedron Megaminx and Kilominx are done. There's only one other face-turning dodecahedron that I want to make a triacontahedron shape mod out of. That sentence has probably never been said before. Anyway, all rhombic triacontahedra aside, there is only one more puzzle I want to show, and I saved the best for last, and by that I mean I saved my favorite for last. This is a shape mod of the Tianqing 2-layer cheese, into the shape of a hexagonal prism. The reason I decided to make this is because it gives that appearance of like a 2x2 hexagonal prism, because, you know, we've got only the corners visible on these hexagons and only the corners here looking like 2x2 faces. Turns really nicely. The only problem it has is layer alignment. And of course I made it out of a stickerless one, so you can kind of see the internals, but the stickerless one turned way better than the stickered one, so I'm very glad I went with that, even though you can't see that in mid-turn. So I've actually speed solved this a few times. It is quite fun, believe it or not. And the name that one of my non-cuber friends decided I should give this puzzle is the 2x2 Honeycomb. I quite like that, especially because the yellow side is hexagonal. So this is the 2x2 Honeycomb. And that concludes this video on all of the simple extension mods I've made. I have also been working on some other designs that I will make videos on in the future. But that's all for this week. Like I said, all I've really been doing for the last month in my free time has been puzzle making, and now I need to make a bunch of videos to catch up with that. Thank you so much for watching. No promises on when the next video will be out because I've been pretty busy lately. And on that note, this is Lord of the Cubes signing off.